Let me know when we're good.
I said we're live.
Okay. I'm sitting here going,
You,
awkward
you,
silence,
you
awkward silence.
literally say we're live, and you're like, let me know when we're good.
No, you said start. We're gonna start recording, and I'm like, okay. He's in the
I
middle of pushing a button.
literally said we're live moments later.
I did not hear that part. Okay, fine, whatever. Hello,
Just
everyone.
don't,
Welcome to Midweek Gaming. I'm Nick. This is Justin. We're gonna pretend that intro doesn't exist.
don't worry about it. You'll be getting a light show later.
The
The
light.
lights will enter your eyeballs, and the memory will be wiped.
Try not to give our audience seizures. You know, that's a bit of an issue.
I'll try, but that comes down to the rest of the team. If they want to
Rest of
throw
the team. What rest
fireball,
of the team?
specifically warlocks and their fireballs lately.
Hey, in fairness, somebody discovered that those gloves, after the new Solar 3.0 update back in Season of the Haunted, they're like, yeah, these gloves can now give you infinite fireball, and now we're just perfect. So now fireball, fireball, fireball.
In
Just
other words, I
lace
just
the
need to
ground with
speed run
solars.
faster than they can catch up.
They'll just lace the ground with solar grenades. But yeah. But anyways, it's basically, I was watching Clash of Clans stuff recently, Clash-orama, which is basically like Clash of Clans attempt to make like I don't want to say adult animated cartoon, but it's an animated cartoon. Just see the wizards. Oh my god, that's just basically the warlocks right now. Fireball! Just throw like
Fireball!
6,000
Fireball!
fireball.
Fireball!
Honestly.
I have power!
Power! Anyways. But anyways, that is not what we're not talking about Clash of Clans today. I sounded weird doing that. We're not talking about Clash of Clans today. That is not what we're doing. We're talking about a PlayStation showcase that came out literally after we just finished our show last week. By I think an hour or two. So yeah, a lot of stuff dropped from PlayStation. We'll cover it, at least the highlights, because last time we tried to cover everything, it was just very time inefficient. We just rambled, and I don't think it was that entertaining. I don't think you guys were all that entertained, so we're just going to cover the highlights. Do not worry, though. It is in the description, full PlayStation showcase. If you want to see it, it's like an hour, 13 minutes. I'm looking at it right now for the sake of reference. So, if you want to see it, it's there. If not, we're going to cover the big highlights, at least we think are the big highlights. So, let's begin. First up on the list is, well, actually, before I even cover anything, it looks as though PlayStation's actually investing in, physical displays instead of, digital animations like they did for the last few showcases. Usually what happens when you have these showcases, right, is that they'll have, some, computer-generated logo or something they'll bob in and out of, or they'll mess around with throughout the intermission scenes between trailers. It's more digital than it is physical. For some reason, PlayStation decided this time to have an actual physical stage that they just shot lights around and just had their square, triangle, circle stuff in the back and just messed around with that.
Yeah.
Which, different direction. That's a new one. Why not? I mean, I guess it kind of weirdly harkens back to the days when they actually did physical performances at things like E3 until everyone pulled out and said, F this, but whatever.
I'm a dip real quick.
E3 slowly dying because of it. I think it's actually dead at this point officially. They're not having it this year.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness, it was already dying way back in when I was in high school, 2019, 2018, something like that. And they started the last time where they're we're gonna bring in influencers, and we're not gonna call it E3. We're gonna call it some influencer convention or something. Oh god, I think that was the year before COVID happened, so I'm kind of happy COVID happened for that regard, and did not have that, or I don't know. The first year of COVID, I don't know if it happened. I don't think it did. Anyways, one good thing that came out of COVID is we didn't have to see the end result of that nonsense. Which, but anyways, back to the PlayStation showcase. So, first on the list is actually something I did not expect. Well, first big thing on the list. There's this robber game that kind of comes before it. I don't really know. Looks like a PvP game. I don't really do PvP, so, watch it at your own peril. Or at your own interest. Also, may I just say, buffering.
Buffering.
Okay. Buffering. The video I'm watching is buffering. I should probably stop my Diablo 4 update or Diablo 4 download.
Well, you shouldn't be specifically watching a video. and downloading something at the same time.
Usually doesn't have that much problems. But anyways, all right. May I just say, Jim Ryan's getting old. I wonder who'll take over after him. Hope it's someone good. Anyways, first up on the list, finally, is Helldivers 2. That is. Anyone who's played Helldivers, I've played Helldivers. It's so weird. Helldivers is so over the top and it's nonsense that it's like even the trailer is just like the guy, no, as the alien just like claws his family apart. Just like, hi, has this ever happened to you?
Is
Well, we've
this
got a solution.
you?
Is this you? Is your
Getting
family
your
getting clawed
head
apart by
caved
a
in
seal?
by those around you? Unable to keep up with the daily work?
Daily work of freedom.
Your freedom
Again,
clearly isn't enough.
honestly, Helldivers is so over the top and its craziness. It's. I played the original actually. I have it for PlayStation. Weirdly enough, of all things. I think it. I don't know if it started off on PC and then went to PlayStation. I think it may have started off on PlayStation. I don't know. It's on the PlayStation Showcase, so maybe it started off on PlayStation. I don't know honestly. But yeah, Helldivers was this interesting game where basically you literally played the role of a Helldiver, for those who don't know, and you basically get dropped ODST style for your Halo references down onto planets with a team into like the literal middle of hell itself, like just in the middle of like alien nests and stuff like that, and just told to quote unquote liberate it, which basically translates to kill everything that's moving. So
Eliminate target.
yeah, Terminator, eliminate everything. And the obscene level of weaponry you have that you can just call down is just crazy. You know, you can call down battle mechs, you can call down you can call down like laser turrets, you can call down crazy stuff. And it's funny because if you actually call it down improperly, you might actually end up squishing one of your teammates because it gets also dropped down from orbit, so you might end up accidentally smashing them. But whatever.
Eh,
And again, it's just
acceptable
it's a
losses.
game. Yeah, acceptable losses. And it's just this game filled with over the top humor of just like, you know, I literally was thinking this as I was watching the trailer. Like, this is basically what the U.S. wants to do to everyone else. We will liberate the entire world. This is the USA in the 60s. We will liberate everyone else. With bullets. Export freedom.
We are freedom. Do not.
We are freedom. And again, it looks like, oh, well, it is, that they're making a Helldivers 2. The first Helldivers was actually a top-down, like, almost pixely game. I don't want to say, like, high pixelation, but it was like, I don't want to say 16-bit. But what it was, no, it was cartoony. That was the word I should use. It was a cartoony top-down game. Where you controlled one guy, or, you know, if you had other people with you, a team. And that was basically what you did. And sometimes you'd have entire planet sectors where, you know, the entire community would kind of play in this war against another alien species. And they would have like news updates. Random alien congressman believes that the Earth Federation is wrong in their actions. He does not believe in our freedom.
His freedom isn't our freedom, therefore he must die.
He must die. But you know, it's again, it's over the top humor. But yeah, it was a cartoony top-down game. But the looks of it, Helldivers 2 is basically not really changing much in terms of the gameplay, which is fine because Helldivers again is a really fun game, especially if you have friends. It's a really simple game to get into, but it looks like they're actually, you know, doing high-resolution graphics, actual like flushed-out maps, and it's more of a third person instead of a top-down this time. So graphically, it looks a lot better. You know what it weirdly reminds me of? Starship Troopers. For anyone who's seen the movie or played that game, which I have done neither of. Well, I've seen of the game, and I've watched reviews of the movie, so I don't know. I don't know if that counts. But you know, the kind of over the top like bug problem is, again, it reminds me weirdly of the Starship Trooper game and the Starship Trooper movie in a way. Like if you've seen the game, it weirdly reminds me of that. So that'll be interesting to see. I will probably be picking this up when it launches, whenever that is. It'll be interesting to see when this comes out. Let me see. Did they give the release date? Oh no, it's coming 2023. Okay, that reminds me. There's a running trend in this. Well, it is 2023. Last I checked. So sometime this year. a lot of stuff in this trailer or this showcase is said to come out in 2023, which again, you obviously all know we're in 2023. So sometime between now and December, presumably. But anyways, that's Helldivers 2. I'm again excited to look forward to it. Let me just jump forward to the next big thing as I. The Talos Principle 2. If you're really into puzzle games, that's a thing. At least I believe it was a puzzle game. Anyways, the next big thing on the list is something that is interesting. Let me just jump forward to the end of the trailer. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater is coming back. So, that's interesting. Well, not new. Remastered Metal Gear game. Ugh. What do you think, Justin? Have you ever played any of the Metal Gear games?
I have played some of the Metal Gear games, much more older ones though, but I have played them.
What'd you think of them?
It was very interesting, especially because of the fact that there are sometimes levels where you can go back and forth between like stealth and not stealth. So if you just so happen to somehow get discovered through a wall or well, no, it occasionally happens, but like you get options, and in the later games you've been given a little more options here and there, and it also, and I forget which one it was, but in one of the Metal Gear games, if you had gone and killed a bunch of other NPCs, basically, you'd actually be shown them, like you'd be walking through basically a graveyard of their ghosts at one point, and it was very eerie.
Yeah, it's like the more people you killed, the more people you'll find here. So if you were doing a pacifist run somehow, you'd basically just go through.
Well, no, there's overall in the Metal Gear games, there's two types of routes. There's the take down everything route and be either stealthy about it or very executioner about it, or the just stay as like a hidden spy and not be discovered at all.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? I've played some of the Metal Gear games myself. I played Phantom Pain. Recently, I decided to play the one before that. I can't remember what it was called. It was more of a prequel by the sounds of it, but it was oh my god, I can't remember the name. Anyways, the one that came before Phantom Pain. You know, they were nice. I can see why everyone likes the Metal Gear series. It's interesting though, like I said, with Konami and Kojima having been separated, again, Kojima being the guy who basically invented the Metal Gear games. At first, you know, Konami tried to continue the Metal Gear games and Metal Gear Survive. Do not even get me started on that. Think 47. Oh no, 70. Why am I thinking wrong numbers?
Yeah, and
Think
no,
Fallout 76, but
I
far
kind of
worse.
know what you're talking about it, because ever since the split, it's kind of changed in the overall story direction and the type of stuff they're going for.
Right, right. They tried, and it was just so. Well, I don't even think it was trying. It was more of them milking the legacy of the Metal Gear games
Yeah.
through Survive, and it was just basically reused assets from the last game, which was Phantom Pain, and it was no good. Honestly, it was no good. This mechanics, the assets were all reused. It was just a nightmare. After that, Kojima or Konami kind of went. I don't want to say underground, but they did kind of like pull out of the games industry most of it, from what I hear, somewhat. They also had casino, like a hand in the casino industry apparently, because apparently there are Metal Gear Solid slot machines. Don't even get me started.
Yes.
Which Konami made, but whatever. It seems now they're trying to get back in with remastering the old games. Again, a thing you see throughout the showcase is that a lot of these games are not originals. They are either sequels or remasters to old games. And the few like new games that we see are kind of like not from really big studios, but more like, you know, kind of indies, I would say. Not like, you know, $1 million indies because they've got Sony backing them. But, you know, they're not big like franchise names. They're not franchise names. They're not big. Um, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Big developers, big
Not big
company.
developers, not big companies either. Well, not no either of those, but like they're not big. Well, I guess they're not big like titles. I guess for games, right? They're not
Yeah,
big. Big backing games. Like you're not gonna see the next. You know, I don't know.
Halo
You're not gonna
CE or
see.
something.
You're not gonna see the next. Well, definitely not here. Have to go to the Xbox showcase for that. But
No, but still, like you're not gonna see like a big name startup like that.
yeah, for the most part. Most of the big names are, like I said, either remastering or making sequels to previous games
Yeah,
throughout the
most of
showcase.
the showcase was mainly just sequels.
Which is not bad because some of these are pretty decent sequels,
Hmm.
but still.
So yeah, that's the Metal Gear.
Yeah, that's Metal Gear. Like I said, I don't really have much to talk about that because we got just kind of like a cinematic trailer for it.
Yeah,
I
I
guess if
think
you know the Metal
I
Gear,
would say it's more in early, well, not early development, but like midway through the development. I don't think it's done yet, but I think they're teasing it.
yeah. Well, let's see here. Does it say when it is? Is it this year or next year? Or are they just saying it's a thing? Let's just see. Coming to PS5. No, they do not give a date. So probably midway through early development. Then again, it is a old game that's already been made. The storyline's already there for the most part. They just have to
Yeah,
recycle it and make new assets, which as the programmer, that is not a small task. You have to create entirely new models and stuff
like
like that. So
depending,
it's not like
yeah, like depending on what you're wanting to do exactly. Like if you're doing a remaster, all right, cool. Are you doing a remaster in a new engine? Oh, you're have fun.
yeah, yeah, 3 years later.
Because yeah, keep in mind, depending on how you go about doing that, you might end up just completely watching a whole bunch of stuff be corrupted because of the fact that you're trying to port things from an older model to a newer model, and
Well, I
that'll
mean, in most cases, I think with like if they're trying to go with the graphics like they're trying to push, because remember, you have to remember there's a big shtick here, right? There's a big like I don't want to say there's a big but here, but there's a big kind of caveat here. The PS5 generation was meant to launch a whole new era of graphics, but because of COVID, like so many other things, that got delayed because no one could get their hands on the PS5. So they had to kind of rely on the PS4 to kind of carry over into the next generation alongside the PS5. So they had to make a lot of their games backwards compatible, which meant since they were programming for the lowest denominator, they couldn't really do the next generation of graphics. A few games came out here and there over the years that have been PS5 exclusive, don't get me wrong, but those that do, most of the time have a PS4 version of them also on the market. So again, it's not like we're seeing a lot of PS5 exclusive games or Xbox Series X exclusive games. You want to talk about the Xbox.
yeah.
So I think that they're trying to finally get into the next generation of graphics. Like if the trailer is anything like cinematically speaking what the actual game is. Usually, I would say don't trust the cinematics of a trailer to tell you what the game might look like. But with PS5 and Series X being what they are, I wouldn't put it past it being on with being that what it is, right? So we'll see, and that'll require a whole new set of models be made, a whole new set of like lighting, da 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 da. And it really depends on what engine they're working into. Some engines are easier to work in than others. But I digress.
Yep.
And
Either
of course,
way,
they advertise
that's
the old games.
there's that for you.
And of course, they advertise the old games, 1, 2, and 3, the old ones. Apparently, they might be put on the original PS5, probably in the Classics collection. Let me see. Another smaller title. Smaller, still pretty looking, still very pretty looking. And then we see the next Final Fantasy. I don't know if we should cover this or not. It's just the next Final Fantasy. I'll be playing it when it comes out. I've already got it pre-ordered. It looks interesting. I actually got into Final Fantasy during Final Fantasy 12, I think it was. Also, I'm a Noctis. I can't remember. I think it was Final Fantasy 12. Or maybe it was 11. I can't remember. Yeah. But anyways, they use Roman numerals, so I can't keep up sometimes. I have to like translate in my head. But yeah, I think it was like 11 or 12. And it's funny because I actually played Final Fantasy games before without realizing it back in like the GameCube days. But I didn't really realize they were Final Fantasy games. I just kind of played them because they were there. I played one on, like I said, GameCube and the DS. One of them was like a Chocobo adventure game with like cards and stuff like that. I actually really liked that game when I was a kid. But yeah, no, that kind of unofficially got me into Final Fantasy, but not like... I have this weird issue when I was a kid, like I said, where I would play games without realizing what series they were from, and I'd be like, oh, this is a really fun game. And then when I was like later on in my years, I'd be like, oh, this is a really fun game, I'll play it. And then retroactively like, wait a minute, didn't I play games from this series when I was a kid as well and also enjoyed them? Huh, so I did.
Yep.
That's when I'd get into the series, when I actually made the connection. Not when I first played the game. But whatever. Anyways, that comes out at the near end of June, so not that long. That'll be interesting to see. Again, I won't mention too much of that. Alan Wake 2 is coming out. I believe this is Alan Wake 2. I have not played either of the Alan Wake games. I played Control, which had a DLC for Alan Wake, but you know, again, I haven't played Alan Wake. So I'm not going to talk anything about that. It's a thing. The next big thing on the agenda. Oh yeah, the newest FNAF game, because why not? But no, that is not the biggest thing on the agenda. We are going into... Let me just find it real quick. Ah, here we go. So, Bungie stuff. Bungie revealed... Oh, first, before I should say anything, for those who haven't heard, at this point, I'd be surprised if you hadn't. Excuse me, there's a stretch over here. Bungie is now owned by Sony. If you haven't heard, now you have. And so now they're revealing stuff at their showcase, which is good because now Sony has more backing again. Preferably, I would prefer Sony as a backer to Activision Blizzard. I say this as I download Diablo 4, but hey, they're owned by Xbox now, so hopefully they'll curve the trend. This is a whole other discussion I can get into about how people say there's no more exclusivity in the industry anymore, yet big companies are... The big three, or the big two, I should say, are buying up every other big game company to kind of force them into exclusivity. So there is exclusivity, yet there's not exclusivity. It's weird. But I digress. Yeah, that's a whole other video trend I could talk about. But that's not what we're here for today. So back to the showcase. So yeah, Bungie revealed one, I guess, and then one continuation of their big projects. One of them being Marathon. For those who haven't heard, again, this one's a lot more. This is a lot more likely you haven't heard about it, but you might have. Bungie has been wanting for a long time to bring back their original game that put them on the map. No, it's not Halo. Don't worry, I thought so too.
A lot of people
Marathon.
think so.
A lot of people think that.
Yes. Timeline-wise, basically, Marathon started Bungie's fame, and then because of the whole fame that Halo CE brought, everyone then went to, well, it's kind of CE. And in a way, yes, you are correct, it is CE. But the original was Marathon.
Yeah. So maybe it's more accurate to say that in terms of game development, they really showed they could make a game with Marathon, and then they really made popular culture and fame with Halo. So,
yeah.
Depends who you talk to, I guess. Some people love Marathon as an old game. Some people like me have never heard about it, so...
Marathon was interesting. Like, so, yeah.
Like, I know people in the Destiny community who talk about Marathon. Like, especially now that it's been a thing.
Like, I'll say this. But... compared to all the Halo and Destiny, Destiny is influenced a lot more by Marathon than Halo is. So, there's that. So keep that in mind, Destiny players, that your game is like heavily based off of Marathon.
Yeah, I mean, there's even some Easter eggs to Marathon, right, in the game that I know of. But regardless, actually, there's quite a few nowadays. But regardless, you know, everyone's known that Bungie's wanted to bring back Marathon for a while now, and they've wanted to make a new IP as well for a while now. And again, there's this whole topic we did in a previous video as to how having a new IP might also benefit the a continuation of Destiny. No, people who play Destiny, Destiny is not dying yet. Again, depends on who you ask after Lightfall, but that's beside the point. Again, a new IP will benefit them as a company, again, having another source of income, and like I said 1,000 times, I've wanted to bring back Marathon for a while now. So, at the at the showcase, they finally showed a trailer for Marathon, so it's a thing officially. Well, people who've been following Bungie already have kind of known it's a thing for a little bit now, but they haven't officially confirmed it on any big showcases yet, but now they have. It is weird, not gonna lie, and I've watched some weird shit, so. So yeah, it's a thing. Marathon is coming at some point. We have been told it's going to be a PvP mostly based thing, mostly. If that's entirely the case, I don't know, because again, it's still early development, but it sounds like from what I've heard and what I've seen, it's mostly going to be a PvP based thing. If that's the case, as with the original, I'll give a hard pass, because I don't do much in the way of PvP. That's why my Crucible rank tends to suck at the end of every season. But
Did you play for Crucible?
yeah, just call out the Crucible players. You play for Crucible?
Of course, me going to start playing Crucible because Mayhem's in the mix right now.
I mean, hey, I'll play Mayhem and I'll play Scorch. Like, those are the two big ones that I'll like. That'll
It's not
boost my
really
rank.
like skill based. It's more of how well do you know your abilities and how well are you able to utilize them.
Yeah. And in fairness, when I play for Scorch, that's just a free for all to go blow everyone up. And I'll play Iron Banner generally when it comes out sometimes because I like to grind for the cosmetics. Because the Iron Banner cosmetics are nice. They've always been nice. So, those are the three things that generally get my Crucible rank up. But other than that, I generally don't touch Crucible. And that's the same thing for any PvP game. I generally don't touch PvP unless I kind of like the game in general. And
Right.
even then, it's eh.
Right.
So, anyways, Marathon's a thing. We do not have an exact date for it coming out, but again, it's been officially confirmed at a major
For
convention.
what we do know right now with the Marathon game is for the most part they're going to be kind of in their own words having players explore areas, unlock new areas, and then try to help the rest of the community, the rest of the player base also unlock that area. So
So, sounds like your
it's
traditional MMO progression system.
yeah.
Very traditional.
Yeah. So we'll be seeing how that plays out, and we'll also be seeing how the networking is going to play out. Because no, in all intents and purposes, keep in mind this is going to be a game with how many players on at any given time, and it might be divvied out into sections with every section having its own server or servers. But nevertheless, that's going to be a lot of strain on a network if it's not set up properly. So Bungie, please set up a good infrastructure.
Well, again, this will give us this in many ways will allow us to actually see if the network issues that come from Destiny also are somewhat due to the old engine they have to run through, which I doubt, what the engine might have to do with it, I don't
Maybe
know, but
I
the
just
architecture of the networking in that engine might not be so great anymore, so that might be why. But
maybe
again, this will give us a chance to prove theory to practice, so who knows?
who knows. It just
You're like,
I say that because occasionally I get a lot of errors still, and I'm like, please, Bungie, I'd like to load into one activity without 3 or 4 errors at once.
I'd like to log into a season without the season completely crashing.
I'd
Season
like
of the
to
Deep?
log into the final week of a season and not have a whole bunch of errors.
I've not had that much, but
I had that last season.
my goodness, I did not have that.
So, yeah. I mean, it might be a PC thing, but still.
Maybe. We will see, though. Again, they don't give us an exact date or anything. They just say more on marathonthegame.com. So look there if you're interested in Marathon, I guess. But moving on from Marathon, that's not all Bungie had to say about their projects. They didn't forget about Destiny, don't worry. Because the very next thing they did is give a kind of like blended logo between Marathon and kind of like the locale of Destiny. It looks like they're trying to make a company logo now, where they're like trying to like blend all their big games together, kind of like what Marvel has done. And so right after that logo, they go straight into Destiny stuff. And, final shape stuff. I'm not sure if it's a bit early to talk about final shape. I mean, we're already like quarter
Well, the
way
trailer's
into the
already come
first
out,
season.
so
I mean, the trailer's already come out, but
which is
I don't know. Are
get,
we
get
like,
moves on to the next point. Yeah, in the showcase, the trailer came out.
yeah. Basically, yeah. Long story short, a trailer for Lightfall came out. Uh, it shows Cade is alive. For those who
Well,
haven't heard somehow.
here I'll run through the trailer real quick. Basically, it starts off with Ikara going and saying you missed so much, going and running down the stuff that we did with in the past two expansion. Well, technically the
We
past
have 2 expansions.
three, because technically Light or not Lightfall, Beyond Light was also so Beyond Light, Witch Queen, and of course Lightfall. That
Yeah.
being allied with the Cabal, allied with the Elixni, started fighting alongside them, taking on our enemies, taking on Hive God, taking on
Again,
Disciple. So, yeah.
kill a disciple, kill a hive god.
Of course, they didn't go into any specific detail into anything else besides the stuff that we know we've already done for obvious reasons. But, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. But yeah, no, that is interesting. And again, as Justin said, they went through that. Then we see Cade is alive somehow as a Force Ghost, perhaps. I
Despite
don't know. Whatever Destiny's version of the Force Ghost
somehow
is.
Cade returns.
Palpatine returns. Just as confusing as this. But,
Well, I mean,
it's.
have theories with Cade returning, and a lot of people are theorizing that it's taking place inside the Traveler on the other side of the
That's the
portal,
thing.
and people
That's the
think
thing.
that Cade here might be either a manifestation of light or some form of Taken in a way.
Nah, it's not the Taken. I can.
Well,
Well,
no.
again, we
I
can
say
say
some
one way or the
form.
other anyway.
I say some form of Taken because Taken energy is basically light and dark, more centralized around the dark. But I say a form of Taken, that being like a light version of Taken in a way,
Eh,
where it's manifested purely through the light. Of course, once again, that goes back to the whole light thing. But I'm just spitballing because that's what people have theorized.
I'll probably go against the Taken theory. Like I said, well, at this point, anyone saying anything is speculation purely.
Yeah.
So if anyone who
So
claims to know the truth, I want their powers of foresight.
yeah, so right now, don't believe anything you really hear, even for us. But I'm just gonna like again say for what people are talking about, which is people
Yeah.
mainly think it's a type of light thing going on.
Yeah, my guess is it's probably some type of light thing. Who knows? Maybe like a lot of like one of the other theories I hear, which is kind of funny, which I kind of hope is true, where it's just like when a guardian dies, maybe they go inside the traveler. What if the inside of the traveler is kind of like the guardian afterlife,
Yeah, why not?
and you just get like a bunch of like dead
Never
force
ending
ghosts,
loop, my guy. Never ending loop.
Destiny force ghosts inside the traveler. That would be interesting though, if this is just the inside of the traveler, or maybe it's just another place entirely that the traveler just links to for reasons. Who knows? On the side topic of Destiny, for those people who keep posting the cutscene of the Witness's origins on YouTube, stop it! I've not seen any of those trailers, and yet I cannot help
It's
my
for this
feeling of.
season, guys. Just wait a minute. I know you don't want to, but you can do it.
I know we're in the season of that. Hell, it might come out in the next week or two. Stop it! I have not even seen the video, and yet from all the clips I've seen at different angles, I probably freaking know the cutscene already. It's irritating. If you want to post a leak, post it on like leak forums, but don't post it on YouTube for bloody sake. It's spoils the fun for the rest of us. Like I said, I haven't even watched it yet. I've seen so many different angles of the cutscene that I probably know the cutscene play out already.
Likely.
Hey. But anyways,
What can you do?
what can you do, right? But yeah, that's the final shape. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Like I said, the idea of them being a Destiny like Guardian Afterlife would be interesting. Or maybe this is just like you said, some forced ghost of Cade, Destiny version of a force ghost.
Don't worry about
But
it.
yeah,
we need a mentor at some point. And
hey,
keep
hey,
in
after
mind, we don't see Zavala.
in fairness, I have to say, and as I was watching this trailer during the showcase originally, I could not help but think after the death of Lance Reddick, this kind of numbers the days Zavala has left as a character, possibly, unless they want to
It,
recast him,
it
which I'm not
depends.
sure
Like
that'll
it
go over.
depends on what exactly they're doing, but nevertheless, we
Yeah,
aren't gonna have him around.
yeah,
In some
that's
in
the
some way, they're removing him.
That's the thing, right? There's only one of two ways it can go at this point. Either they recast him, which I'm not sure how that would go over, or they straight up get rid of him. Either through death, which is possible, or through retirement. He's getting old. As far as Guardians go, old is like centuries, but he's worn down. Who knows? We're kind of seeing an upswing for his character though this season, so it may be more the death route. I don't know. Or who knows? They might just recast him and just say to hell with it. I'm not sure how any of those three options would play out. Like I have theories. Obviously, with the recasting, just find a character. Generally, when Destiny or Bungie, that I should say, tries to recast a character, they try to find someone who sounds similar to the original actor. Which, in the case of Ikora, they did fairly well. In the case of Cade, they really nailed because Nolan North can do a perfect Nathan Fillion impression. Also, may I just say, I think the Cade we see in that trailer is played by Nathan Fillion. I think I've heard people say that. I don't
It
know.
probably is.
So, but yeah. So with those two, they got lucky. I don't know if you could find a guy who could play a perfect Zavala impression, or I should say, a perfect Lance Reddick impression. That would be difficult because Lance has a very
Guardian.
unique voice. Guardian, but the voice is very unique, so I don't know if anyone could do a good impression or a good mimicry, I should say. So I don't know if the recasting route would be all that viable, just in practice, even. Just getting rid of the whole like how people would think about that. So, But yeah, maybe they brought back Cade, like I said, to kind of offset the fact that they now know that Zavala's days are numbered. So, maybe that's why this trailer came out when it did. I don't know.
Who knows?
Or who knows? Maybe they were always planning to bring Cade back. If that's the case, that would be interesting.
I have a feeling they probably always plan to bring Cade back in some way.
Maybe. That's the thing with Bungie. They have this weird habit where they'll drop breadcrumbs in such a way where they can draw a perfect line between all of them and say, haha, we planned this from the start, when in reality they were just kind of like throwing them everywhere and being like, we might pick this up later.
We have this. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's the whole Nezarek plot line for you. Nezarek has been around in Destiny since D2 Vanilla as a helmet. Yet, do you think they planned him as a raid boss all these years later? Probably not. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles, right? It just allowed them to pick it up and work with it. So I guess props to whoever's doing the story threads in Destiny, at least when it comes to like planning future content from like past content. Because they always have a way of like drawing a line that's at least reasonably, believable. But
Mm-hmm.
I digress. Moving on. That is not the end of the showcase, however. Oh yeah, we also see something akin to like possibly PlayStation making some form of like PlayStation app that allows you to play PlayStation games on mobile or hybrid controller. I think it's more of akin to like a hybrid controller. I think. Like I feel like it's either a hybrid controller or like some mobile thing they've got going that allows you to play your like PlayStation games on said mobile. And that it streams over from the PlayStation. So kind of like what some streaming services do with, videos and games. What Stadia tried to do, and what Netflix has done with movies for God knows how long now.
I'll be in touch.
Basically, instead of streaming it from a server very far away, however, you're just streaming it from your local PlayStation.
Right.
Which, in fairness, is a better idea because, if you're playing it in your house, let's say you're not able to be at your PlayStation at a particular moment, you want to play PlayStation games, not a bad idea. Because, I mean, since the server, or in this case, the PlayStation, which is acting as the local server at this particular moment, is much more local, it'll decrease lag time, I imagine, by quite a bit. Because that's always the big issue with like streamed gaming. What's the lag time? I said before that I play PlayStation Plus and play some games that are streamed from PlayStation.
Right.
And they're not bad, but every once in a while you might find a command that's lagged a bit, so you might find your character walking forward more than it should. And hopefully you're not playing a platformer game, because otherwise you're screwed. But,
Yeah. I just realized I made for my void loadout a very very poor version of Kratos. So
got them, got
I'll
that
play
finisher and
void.
everything.
Yeah, like I've got like a marking on the head. It looks very pale white. We've got red and gold.
Hey,
Like
we've even got the armor for that this time, though,
I
dude.
know,
Which
but
you're not a Titan.
mine
So.
out of the two, mine looks a little more like I'm actually trying to be Kratos, while the other just looks like, ah, yes, I am a disciple of Kratos.
I am yeah, no. Freaking somewhere in the Destiny universe, they just found like a shrine to Kratos, and this Titan just slapped red paint on his helmet. I am a disciple.
I am the disciple of the knife god himself.
I worship the god of war. Sivorath? No, better.
The better one, the
the
stronger one.
the stronger one.
The one who kills gods better than they can.
Now I just want to see this arm wrestling match between Zevo and Kratos. Who would win? Depends on how pissed off Kratos is. But anyways, back to the showcase. Again, we see PlayStation headphones, or earbuds I should say. Those are interesting. That's being shown off alongside this mobile streaming controller thing. I'm not sure about the details. They're sparse on the details. But they do say it allows you to play your games away from your PlayStation, streamed from the PlayStation. So, regardless of how it'll facilitate when it comes to like how you'll play it, in terms of like networking and architecture wise, not a bad idea. Because, like I said, the PlayStation's a lot more of a local server, because, it's in your house. And presumably you'll be doing this in your house. So, or around your house, or room, or whatever. So the server's a lot more local, so a lag time, I imagine, would be cut down by quite a bit. So it's not a bad idea. But anyways... And may I just say on a note before we continue to the last thing on the showcase, which we'll be talking about, which is the Spider-Man thing. But the fact that games are now able to like the graphics abilities of phones these days, even if the RAM is not that bad, which again is where the PlayStation or servers are coming in from. The fact that phones are able to like show that level of graphics now, right, is kind of the whole reason this is able to exist at all. It's just that now phones are able to show some very high-end graphics if they want to. So,
Yep.
the benefits of modern technology. But anyways, the last thing on our showcase before we let you go is, of course, Spider-Man. And this is like a whole several-minute thing for a Spider-Man thing.
I love. I'm just gonna say this real quick because I have to say this, and the viewers just watched it happen. I love Titans who think that they can speedrun but don't bother killing anything along the way. That's the difference between me and other speedrunners. I'll at least kill most things along the way. Because I'm a killmonger, and I want that. I don't know, I just have to say that, because I just watched a poor Titan try to walk up a staircase and get murdered by, like, 3 Shriekers, so. Yes. But, nevertheless.
Nevertheless. Anyways, so, back to the showcase. The final thing of the evening. We have the latest Spider-Man trailer for Spider-Man 2. Obviously, the Spider-Man on the PS4 was a massive success, as was Miles Morales. I played both of them to completion. They were very good games. You know, it was bound to happen that they would have a sequel. Most people thought that it would be based around the Green Goblin, but
Not so
because
much.
I can't remember. Yeah, but it seems like it's kind of maybe based around the Goblin, but more as like you helped the Goblin, or at least his son, which I cannot remember the name of said son, because I cannot remember.
I'm pretty sure technically he's been different in a couple different iterations, had a different name, so
Yeah.
I'm not
Some
100% sure.
iterations it's the rich guy, sometimes it's the rich guy's son. I can't remember the rich guy's name, that's why I'm just referring to him as the rich guy,
Yeah.
FYI. But this time it seems that by the sounds of it, it was the rich guy, then he retired to just become a rich guy, or continue being a rich guy. And his son got this incurable illness, which I think is indeed canon in the Spider-Man universe. This like bad illness that's like passed down the bloodline of the Goblin family, for lack of a better term.
Not
But
that. Yeah, I could see that in this timeline.
and he's trying to cure his son, and it was hinted in the first game that he was using the Venom symbiote. It was never explained how he got a hold of the darn thing, but to potentially cure his son. Not sure how that went, but it seems that, and again, Peter, who was again a friend of the son, in most iterations, I believe that's still also true,
Yeah.
believed that the son just went on a long business trip when really he was like in a back to kind of tank in his father's basically apartment in a secret laboratory getting healed up when it was believed he was just went on some exotic trip. It seems like Peter's finally figured out that that's not the case, and apparently also has the Venom suit. Like, well, before I should go anywhere, it seems that the villain for this time is, again, I do not remember his ready name. It's the guy who's, buff and likes to hunt things. I don't remember his name. If
That
you
that
remember
that
Spider-Man
describes a
fandom,
couple people. So
the guy with like the cheetah print arm things.
okay.
I cannot remember his name. Hold up. Now I'm gonna have to do this because I'm gonna be referencing him a lot for this particular bit. So might as well get his name. Ah, Carvin the Hunter. So let's just call him the Hunter for short.
Yep.
So anyways, the Hunter is basically, it looks like he's finally run out of big game to track. And he's like, I want more people. I want to kill things that are better than me. And through some chain of events, one of his minions is like, hey, look at this. New York City has a bunch of superpowered people. And he's like, we'll go there to hunt.
That is where we will go.
That is where we will go to hunt. And so it seems that Carvin is going to be the big bad for this game. For the first PlayStation game, if those who don't remember, the first PlayStation Spider-Man, for like the first of the PS4 Spider-Mans, actually had a mixture of villains, like quite a lot of them. Like, it's funny, really. Spider-Man has a rogues gallery equal to that of Batman in many ways, when it just like, he's got a lot of people that want him dead. Weirdly enough, both villains also have an affiliation with a cat villain. I mean, both heroes have something of a relationship with a cat villain. I'm not sure if there's a connection there or not. But
Don't worry
regardless,
about it.
don't worry about it. I'm just gonna say, Black Cat and Catwoman, both of them have an affiliation with their respective heroes. Or both of them have a relationship of a sorts with their respective heroes, so I don't know. Eh.
Don't know about that one, Chief.
Don't know about that one, Chief. But, so in the first PS4 Spider-Man, you had an entire bunch of villains you fought. You fought, I believe it was, yeah, no, you fought the Vulture, you fought Dr. Octopus in the end, you fought Scorpion, Rhino, bunch of them in the first game, and they were all kind of introduced in their own ways. Mr. Negative was kind of one of the bigger ones. It seems like one of the bigger ones in the second game will be the Hunter.
Yep.
Maybe he's the only villain this time. Maybe he's the one of the bigger ones.
He
I mean,
it
it's even
might
in the
be
trailer.
like if it's going along the lines of like you've got Goblin, the Green Goblin, and everything, chances are it'll probably have him building up to the Green Goblin, and then he ends up doing something to push someone over the edge and be like, "All right, I'm going to commit a murder now."
Well, that's the thing, right? The new Spider-Man games take place with a much more older version of Peter. Like he's fought all the enemies at this point. Like he knows the Rhino, he knows Scorpion, he knows who the Green Goblin was, and that's why I said the guy kind of retired to continue being a rich dude. Most of the villains in the Rogues Gallery he already has dealt with.
Yeah.
Only the Octopus was the odd one out in this case. It seems like they might be introducing some key villains as potentially having just come into the timeline, whereas most have not. Like we're in the trailer, we see Carvin like after his like hunting expedition in the jungle versus some other person who thought, you know, potentially one might have been stronger than him, which he kills, so guess not. Uh, it cuts to a scene where you see Miles and Peter, who are now working together, going after the lizard, or perhaps I should say trying to save the lizard because he's being hunted by Carvin. The biggest game, right? Look for a human mutant lizard. But anyways. And the interesting part about the trailer is that we actually see Peter with the Venom suit on. Also being a lot more aggressive than usual. Maybe as a result of the Venom suit. We don't know. But yeah, we see Peter with the Venom suit. We see a bunch of Venom-based powers. We see Miles as well. Don't really get to see much of the lizard, but we do know that, again, they're tracking the lizard to kind of save him from Carvin's men. By the sounds of it, they're trying to do it in the name of, like, apparently the lizard or the doctor who the lizard actually is may be able to save Harry. That's the name of the rich dude's son that Peter's friend with. You know, the lizard, not the lizard, the goblin's son. But anyways,
Yeah.
trying to save Harry from his incurable illness, and possibly the lizard can do that. But he can't, obviously, if he's dead, so.
You know.
Details.
Details. Don't worry about it.
So this is actually kind of interesting because the last time we saw a PlayStation trailer for the second Spider-Man game, it showed Peter and Miles dealing with Venom himself.
Right.
And now at this time it just shows Peter having the Venom suit himself.
So yeah,
So
we're obviously missing a bit of a gap in the timeline and what happened.
yeah, we're missing a bit of a gap in the timeline. Like, was there ever a Venom then in this timeline, or did the symbiote just bond straight with Peter like it does in some versions of the story? Like,
Right.
in some versions of the story, it bonds to him first and then Venom. Sometimes it's the other way around. Sometimes I don't think there even is a Venom and it just bonds straight to Peter. So I don't know.
I think you're confusing Venom and the symbiote. Venom is the symbiote.
Well, no, technically Venom is the symbiote and
Of
the other dude.
a
I can't remember, the
variety of other
journalist.
people.
Yeah, variety of other people. Generally, it's the journalist dude who's,
It
again,
it,
name I
ten, it
cannot
tends
remember.
to be whoever hates Peter the most.
There's a long list of people on that list.
Yes,
But
but it tends to be the person who's bullying Peter, i.e., if Peter's in school, whoever's bullying Peter, that type of thing.
yeah,
Because,
technically it's the
you know,
symbiote, I should
eventually
say.
Peter
Yes, you
goes
are right.
and beats him up, type of thing, and there you go. But
I
yeah,
believe usually it's the journalist, but yeah. But again,
that's
it's
that for the most part.
but yeah, generally there's the symbiote that bonds to Peter. Other times it, bonds to someone, then bonds to Peter. Vada vada vada. So we'll see. Maybe there is no Venom in this game. Maybe it's just the symbiote in this game. I don't know. Maybe Peter becomes Venom. Wouldn't that be interesting? But
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, there we go. And it seems to basically have a lot of the systems from the last game. You have a lot of crazy spider powers. We even see Miles pulling like kind of like a Batman thing where he's like sitting on like ropes above villains and just kind of like taking them out from the shadows. So
Well, there we go.
there's more of a connection for you there. Does it give us a trailer though? Or I mean, does it give us a date though? Yeah, excuse me. And again, it looks like there might be a plot line with Peter possibly becoming more and more vicious as a result of the Venom suit, or the symbiote, I should say.
Well, that's kind of a given in every timeline.
Yeah, that's kind of a given, right? The symbiote sometimes influences people,
No,
sometimes it doesn't.
it always
Oh, it always
influences.
does. Ah, we do, kind of. Fall 2023, so fall this year. So, Again, we've seen trailers for this one before, so it's already been in development for a little bit, so I don't think there's going to be a delay on this one. And like I said, they've already made one of these games, and it doesn't look like it's too big of a departure when it comes to, like, not graphic, well, kind of graphically speaking, but, like, mechanics-wise from the first game. So I doubt there will be that much in the way of, like, differences.
Yeah.
So I doubt it'll take too long to develop versus an entirely new type of game.
Yep.
So, like I said, definitely will be a delay with this one. Look out for that one in fall. I probably will. I definitely will be playing this, actually. But yeah, that's kind of the highlights of the showcase. And my god, that even took us longer than I thought. How long is this video, Justin?
Almost an hour.
Almost an hour. See, and that is why we did not do all of them, because then we would be an hour or more. So, I'll shut up now.
All right. Hopefully you all enjoyed, and keep an eye out for those games. Specifically, keep an eye out for Bungie and what they're planning on doing, because there's something special going on there. That hopefully you
It's
enjoyed.
marathon.
It's marathon,
I,
but still, if you like WoW and
everyone's
if
like,
you like MMOs, playing with your friends, there's that.
I love how everyone's like, oh my god, it's marathon. I'm just like, whatever.
Sitting here like, bruh, I don't care. Doesn't even
Before
realize
my
that the
time.
Fallen are 100% based off of Marathon.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I think there are a few things that are based on Marathon from what I've heard. I know that. It's just I do not know much about Marathon. It's like I said, if it's
I
gonna be a
can't keep
PvP
up.
thing, like again, if it's gonna be a PvP thing, again, I'm kind of apathetic to PvP games just by nature. The industry already has far too many of them as is.
Yeah.
So when one big company goes, we're gonna make the next PvP game, I'm gonna go, yay, great, the next one of 1,000. Put it on the line. I guess it'll do something. You know,
There is a market for it, so there's that.
there is a market, definitely. There is a market. It's just like I said. I personally feel the industry might be a bit oversaturated with like arena games.
Yeah. Well,
So,
nevertheless, keep an eye out for the games that you are interested in, and make
definitely
sure
keep
to
an eye
watch
out.
the showcase if you want to go into the full depth of it all. And
Yeah,
stay
like I said,
tuned
we only
for
covered.
more content next week.
Yep, definitely. Like I said, we only covered the highlights for the most part. There were obviously other things here we did not cover of the smaller variety. Some of the
Yes.
bigger variety, but just not. I don't really know. Like I said, we kind of glossed over the Final Fantasy stuff. So if you want to look into that, as well as a bunch of other smaller titles.
Well,
So
I'm gonna say this. You went and
that's
said,
equals.
"Oh, it's marathon, yay!" I'm sitting here like, "Oh, yay! It's the 20,000th Final Fantasy game." I don't get me
uh,
wrong. I don't hate Final
no,
Fantasy.
no.
It's a good
You're right.
series, but I am right in the whole. It's what game we're at now?
I believe we're at 16 now.
Like my boy,
The numbered ones, at least. The number.
my boy. When it reaches 20, we're all doomed.
I think we already went back there, and then we're kind of going. It's weird, but
Yeah. No, they're actually like going back in time now with it all. So that's the weird thing with it.
they are. But by the
But
sounds of this plot line,
nevertheless,
that's the weird part. They're trying to go back in time, but by the sound of this plot line, they're trying to do something like major in terms of like earth shaking for development. So I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe that just got forgotten, or maybe I don't know.
Either
Anyways,
way, keep an eye out for the things that you're interested in. Stay tuned for more news.
stay tuned for more news. We'll see you all next week, and bye bye.
Good day, all.